The Knicks won the in-season NBA Cup championship, and now it's time to bring home the real one, the real trophy, ladies and gentlemen. So let's talk NBA Cup and Knicks basketball with Jonathan Macri of Knicks Film School. J Mac, it's championship or bust after what I saw last night. Appreciate you hopping on with this, my guy. Let me get straight into this because I want you to have as much time as you can to break this down for us. The first banner or championship since 1973. I think bell bottoms were in style back then. Did that win put the entire NBA and league on notice, and why?
Well, I don't want to sound like an arrogant Knick fan, but I think the league should have already been on notice that this
Ooh.
team was a team to be reckoned with. Look, coming into the season, the Knicks were kind of co-favorites with the Cleveland Cavaliers to come out of the East because of how difficult the West was. They had the second best odds of any team in the league. So to say, that last night did anything to change the narrative or the thinking surrounding this Knicks team, I just don't see how that's the case, only because, like, look at last season's playoffs. We've already seen this team come from behind, come from big deficits down. So when they were down 11 to the Spurs late third quarter last night, it's not like anybody who had watched this team last season or the last few seasons thought, hey, this team can't come back from this deficit. You want to tell me they proved that they could beat one of the big dogs out west? Sure, but I guarantee you there's still going to be people saying, they can't handle the Thunder or even the Nuggets or the Rockets. Look, Jalen Brunson, for as long as he's on this team, and thank goodness he is on this team, is going to have a chance to be the best player in any game, on any court, anywhere. Vegas, New York, Denver, Oklahoma City, does not matter the location. So for me, they have already been a team that everybody else in the league should be worried about for the last few years when Jalen Brunson's been doing his thing. But if you want to give them a little extra bump because they held the trophy last night, sure, why not? I don't have an objection to that.
Those three teams you mentioned, the Thunder, Nuggets, Rockets, they have their star or their superstar, and then they have a pretty deep bench. Jalen Brunson hyped up the Knicks supporting cast after the win. He said, without them, we don't win this bleep. Can't say it because I'll get in trouble. Do the Knicks finally have a deep enough bench to win a chip, or do you feel as though Leon Rose still needs to go out there and grab some pieces?
Well, I will say this. They were able to win that game, essentially going eight deep. Ariel Hukporti did give him a couple of good minutes at the end of the first half. And they did so without two really important bench pieces in Deuce McBride and Landry Shamet, which is why anyone's doubting the Knicks today or anybody, questioning, how impressive that win really was. The Spurs were at full strength. The Knicks were the team missing two guys. That being said, the one thing I will say, this is a still a small team. You look at Clarkson, Kolek, McBride when he comes back, Shamit when he comes back, and obviously Jalen Brunson. I would like to see Leon Rose make one more move. Gershon Yabusele seems like a great guy. He was hyping up his team last night, but that's a big salary slot to be sitting on the bench and not contributing anything. So if Leon Rose, well, one of two things. If Yabusele can either start to produce and be the player the Knicks thought they were signing in the summer, or if Leon Rose could turn that salary slot into, maybe a wing off the bench, maybe even another break in case of emergency big man, I think that would behoove the Knicks in their ultimate journey to, again, raise another trophy in June.
Deuce McBride out. Tyler Kolek has stepped in, stepped up. 14 points last night. I'm feeling like that was his best overall game in the Knicks jersey. We weren't able to see this last year because Tibbs didn't play him that much. Is it safe to say that that was Tyler Kolek's coming out party as a Knick?
Oh, absolutely. It's funny. I understand, and because I've watched, all of his games and all the games he's been on the Knick roster, that he has never had any massive scoring performances like 20 or 25 points or anything like that. But I got to say, I was taken aback when I looked at his basketball reference page last night and saw that he had never scored in double digits as a pro since getting drafted, early in the second round a year and a half ago. So his 14 points last night, a career high. I think it was also a career high for him in rebounds. And then obviously the trust that Mike Brown had in him to put him back in the game late in the fourth quarter to really seal the deal. It shows you not only what he has done on the court when he's had opportunities in the last few weeks, but I would guarantee you what he is displaying on the practice court. And to that end, Jalen Brunson, I think, talked about this after the win, that, hey, you guys maybe don't see as much of Tyler Kolek as we see, but the work he puts in behind the scenes is what really sets him apart. I think he's going to be a part of this Knicks rotation for the rest of the season, and I think the rest of the league knows that the Knicks have a real backup point guard on their hands moving forward.
When you look at the box score, you see Karl-Anthony Towns only had 16. Mikal Bridges was kind of struggled throughout the night. He only had 11. OG dropped a game high 28, and then obviously Captain Clutch Jalen Brunson showed up. But again, they got great contribution from the bench. So after last night, do you think that this core, this team, can win an NBA championship as is, or are you still blowing it up and trading for Giannis if that opportunity is there?
Look, if and when the Bucks decide to start taking calls, and if you believe the reporting, they have not yet, gotten to the point, you have to pick up the phone. You have to inquire. You have to see what it's going to take. You have to see, is the pressure that Giannis may be exerting, around the league, maybe trying to scare off other prospective suitors by saying that he's not going to resign any place where he does not want to be. For all those reasons, again, you have to place the phone call. You have to see what the cost is. But, one guy I want to bring up, and this I think is the best way to answer your question, because when you talk about the core, what you're really talking about is Karl-Anthony Towns, because I think everybody has belief in Jalen Brunson, in Wingstop, OG and McCall and Josh Hart had a really nice game last night. It's Cat. Can Cat come up big in the biggest moments, not only on offense against, tougher defenses, but defensively. And I have to say, the guy who I know Jalen Brunson won the MVP of the NBA Cup, and he deserved it. But the guy whose play that I will remember most of all over the quarterfinals, semifinals, and even last night was Karl-Anthony Towns. I thought he did an exceptional job defensively throughout all three of these games. And I know the numbers didn't pop, but that to me is almost a plus in that he was not forcing it. He was taking what came to him. He was still having a monumental impact on his team's offense when he was out there. And I just thought he really played within himself, which is not something you would always say about Cat. So for me, I am totally comfortable going forward with this core, seeing how far it gets me, with the caveat that if Milwaukee starts answering phone calls, you do have to pick up the phone. You do at least have to check in.
All right, 2025 NBA Cup Finals champions. They're going to raise the banner at the Garden pretty soon. But now what? What's your expectations from this team here until, let's say, All-Star break?
I would say from here until the All-Star break, I did a little checking before that. I think they have 29 games, if I've counted correctly. Some tough ones in there. They have to go to Minnesota. That's going to be a tough game. Karl-Anthony Towns going back to where he played for 9 years. They have 2 games at Detroit. You better believe the Pistons are going to be hyped up for those. They do have a West Coast road trip, and then they get the Denver Nuggets at home. But you look at largely the slate of games, is these are going to be games that the Knicks are going to be favored in. I would not be surprised if they are favored in 25, 26 or so, maybe 24, 25 of the remaining games until the All-Star break. If they could stay on the pace that they're on, which is basically a 60-win pace, that would be great. We have seen some teams that make it to the NBA Cup final, and specifically the teams that have won it the last 2 years, the Lakers and the Bucks, struggle afterwards. Is it the extra game? Is it kind of coming down off of that high? Whatever it is. I mean, look, they have a tough back-to-back because all back-to-backs are tough, and they're going to be exhausted for these games on Thursday and Friday against the Pacers and Sixers. Even so, this is a tough group. This is a gritty group. They have a bunch of pros in that locker room. If I was going to put a number on it, I would say maybe 19-10 between here and the All-Star break, maybe 20-9 if I'm going a little bit higher, but something around there to try to hopefully get in the hunt for that number 1 seed, or at the very least solidify that they're going to be a top 2 team in the East going into the playoffs.
All right, well, if they raised the trophy, that means they have raised expectations for the rest of this season. J-Mac, appreciate you hopping on with you, my man.
Always appreciate you having me. Great to talk about this team on a day like this.